With the way my hat's placed. And we're live. I don't know if you guys heard that about my hat, but we're back for another casual conversation with the classic. Today I got my friend Jenna here with me of the Jenna Ben Show, Dash Radio host as herself as well, out from Cali. Helped me out a ton when I was out in Cali this past February. And we're going to talk about, just have a casual conversation about everything that's going on in the world right now with COVID-19, the pandemic, coronavirus, or whatever you guys want to call it, and everything else that's going on. And how's it going? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be on. Good to see you, Justin. I'm actually glad that we got to spend so much time together when you were in LA.
Yeah.
It was an impromptu trip, but then we ended up like recording together. You were on my show. I helped you set up your first show, and then we went to drinks, and like I felt like we became besties overnight.
How about the fact that was just in February of 2020, and then by the time I come back, the whole world shut down, basically.
Yeah, you're lucky you made it out.
Yeah, remember I was saying, I'm like, I really want to get home before this gets more serious, because I had one friend that was telling me how serious it was, like in Europe and stuff, and I didn't think it was gonna hit here that hard. But then when I got home, like literally, I think I got home February 27th, like the first day of March, there was like, Tom Hanks got the coronavirus, NBA shut down. I'm like, whoa, like thank God I went to California this year, because the way things are looking, I don't think people will be making many trips. I don't know.
Well, how is it in Canada right now?
I can't speak for all of Canada. I've also done this thing where I kind of stopped watching the news, because I kind of like don't want to know what is happening, because I feel like the more you read about it, the more panicked and stressed out you make yourself about the whole situation. But when it comes to BC, we're also in the process of lifting some of the bans.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So like they're also slowly though, like they're gonna let some other things that they didn't deem essential at the time, like, but are still very important, like dentist offices and stuff like that, open up soon. Some restaurants and bars, as long as they can practice social distancing with the people that come in to eat and stuff. But that's only because where I'm from, I think when it first hit, everyone panicked. We flattened the curve, which for those that don't know, that means like we prevented there being more cases by staying home and actually staying away from other people, therefore flattening the curve for how many people are showing up at hospitals sick and whatnot. To like, yeah, it's a whole process. Go YouTube it, watch it. There's a video called Flatten the Curve. That's where I learned it from. But
we're a little bit more advanced than Cali. We're on the corner. I think we're about a month away from like restaurants and stuff opening up.
They said mid-May they're gonna start doing it, but like what I just wanted to bring it up because like so what happened is we flattened the curve, and then everyone started going wild and going back outside. And I live next to a beach. I live next to White Rock Beach for anyone that wants to come to BC or Vancouver or whatever. White Rock Beach is really nice, but I live by White Rock Beach, so I cruise by it. Like that's a regular cruise that I do just on a regular day, almost every day, just because it's right there. And there was a point I didn't go that all, and I started realizing I live so close to the beach, I should take advantage of it. Yeah. But I was cruising by it, and then next thing you know, there was just like so many people that were just back outside, hanging out, kite surfing, just sitting really close to each other. Like there's people at the beach regularly, but when you usually go there, when the stuff was all very hectic, they were like separated and far apart. Like there was just literally just everyone was just like hanging out like it was normal again, because you know on social media and stuff said we flattened the curve. And then what happened was literally the same day, 50 new cases, 2 days after 90 new cases, and then everybody got scared again. And now since they start talking about we're going to start slowly lifting some bans, I go on social media and stuff, and now I'm just seeing a ton of people outside again, just hanging out. Like, it's all good. Like, oh, the bans are getting lifted. This stuff's ending. Like, everyone's so quick to want to go back to their regular life and hang out with their friends and just, be normal again.
I'm not
How's it over there?
That. Yeah, it's not like that well, I can't speak for all of LA because, like, I'm literally cooped up at home.
Yeah.
But in my neighborhood anyway, every time I walk out, everyone's in a mask. Like every single person, maybe 1 out of like 20 is not in a mask. And this is just around the neighborhood or like walking on a main street. I'm certainly very cautious with the mask and gloves. However, I took out today for the first time with I had the mask in my bag. I just like wanted to go a block to get some fresh air. And this older lady who was walking her dog like stopped me dead in my tracks in the middle of the sidewalk, and she was like literally cursing at me, like F-bombs and the C word. And she was just like, where is your mask? That's so irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, it's in my bag. We're outdoors. I'm walking right past you. In fact, you're obstructing my path. So like now you're forced to interact with me even longer. Listen, I understand the sentiment because I think that people should wear masks right now and be responsible, but that was just like intense. And I feel like we're going to see cases like this. I feel like we're going to see people blowing up at other people for not wearing masks. And like, God forbid they sneeze or cough, it's over for them.
I was in a produce store, like one of those like farm markets, and there was a lady on at the cash register thingy paying her bill for her vegetables or whatever. Yeah. And I was coming up and I was standing fairly distant, right? But like I was on the phone and I was walking up, so I think she assumed that I like what, because I was trying to like call my mom and be like, what exactly do you want me to pick up? You know what I mean? Like, and I guess I was walking, but I stopped like further no, but she was just Harker just had her hand like this, like just so rudely just put a hand there, like stop coming this way, like don't walk fully up close to me. I'm like, do you think I'm an idiot? And I got so frustrated inside. I'm like, do you think, one, you're not wearing a mask, you're touching, your hands are all over this ATM machine, so I don't know what you're so worried about.
I wasn't wearing a mask.
No, and it's just like, she's like this, yeah. Like it just, you can't be that way. You can't be rude to people now because of this thing. Like that lady in your situation could have just moved out of the way and socially distanced herself if she felt unsafe coming in your direction. In my situation, that lady had no reason to throw her hand up as if I was going to ram into her, come step really close to her. Like, I don't know if she assumed like maybe I'm not from this country or something and I was just going to walk up there. I don't know what her assumption might have been, but I was like, listen, lady, born and raised here, I know what the hell's going on. I'm not going to walk right next to you. I'm stopped right here. Like, I'm on the phone, so I'm talking. My bad. I don't know. Like, I was really confusing.
But people, social norms, I think. Like, even if I was in an elevator and then the guys they're like, oh, we'll get the next one. And at first I was offended because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, I guess that's the new norm, you know?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of, you know, not really holding doors open for each other anymore because you're like, maybe that's a really Canadian thing that I brought that up. Like, we do that here. We actually hold the door open for the next person that's coming in. But there's been a lack of that. I've been very shocked that hasn't been a thing.
Wait, I gotta tell you what happened on my way back though.
What happened?
So that was on my way out to the walk, and then on my way back, I got pooped on by a bird.
Yeah.
In my hair, and I didn't even realize it till like, you know, you can tell I'm touching my hair. I do that a lot. And then I look down at my hand. If you look at my story, and there's bird poop on my hand.
You know, in some cultures it's considered good luck. I don't know why.
Hey, you can poop a ton on me if it's gonna change my life right now. Like
because it's like getting hit by lightning, right? Like it happens to so many people. Like it doesn't happen that often, so it's good luck when it happens. I feel like that's the sentiment behind it. Like if it doesn't happen to everybody, it must be good luck that the bird pooped on you. But you know, I don't know. But I did see that, and that's not fun. I think I've been pooped on a bird before, but I think I was a kid. I don't remember any time recently at all.
I just walked in the door like this, like what do I do with my hand? And then I washed and disinfected and showered.
It's crazy to see how innovative everybody's getting with the quarantine, though, because I'm seeing a lot of people trying to do stuff such as this. These casual conversations came out of the quarantine to create content because I was bored. I've seen people live streaming a lot more. Have you not noticed on Instagram, the live streaming population boosted instantly when this pandemic started? Everybody started live streaming. I'm like, I used to live stream and I'd be able to get like 50, 60 to 100 people in there because like nobody else was. Now I'm like live streaming while like some celebrities live streaming. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work now because it's getting insane. Everyone's trying to get innovative and do new things. How has it been going for you? Is there anything new that you've tried or some creative thing that you've kind of started working on during this pandemic?
Yeah, like a lot of throwbacks, you know, because I feel like with the social climate right now, people don't want to see current posts. They don't want to see you know, out by the beach, like posing all cute and stuff, you know. They like want to see that you're being socially responsible. And so I'm like, well, that's an opportunity for me to take some great shots that I've had just hanging out in my phone and post them as throwbacks. So there's that. And I've had a bunch of people who wanted to go live, and I know you and I talked about going live
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times, I know. And maybe having some drinks while doing it. So, you know, there's that. And I started something called Quick 10 with Jenna Ben, like end of last year. I just haven't been great about like getting out there and doing it. So I think, you know, it'll be a good time for me to kick that off. And that'll just be, you know, 10 quick questions. some of them specific to, you know, my guests like career, and then others just kind of more general fun stuff that everyone can relate to.
No, that's cool, because you started something before, you probably didn't run with it hard, but now you have the opportunity to run with it. That's kind of like, I joke around on here, I'm like, yeah, I've done a handful of like interview-based podcasts. Like I did my first Wrestling Classic podcast where I interviewed independent wrestlers that would live near me and some wrestlers I could get that were bigger. And then if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find like these really sporadic, rare interviews with wrestlers. Like one with Sheamus in February, another one with like Jinder and June, but there's no consistency to them. Obviously, the TWC shows me and my buddy shooting about everything that's wrestling, and every once in a blue moon we have a guest on there. But I'm like, I should get back to trying to talk to people again. I made all these network connections, and I have all these friends inside and outside the industry who I could have great conversations with. I'm like, why don't we try having these conversations with them now, since everyone's sitting at home?
Yes, I do so consistently. And the thing is, I thought that people were going to be lazy to do remote interviews, but there's like no shortage. So I recommend getting out there, because you'll get some really awesome people right now just because there's nothing to do. And
don't you realize, did you go through the phases? Because I remember I first started, I was like, oh, sweet, a lot of free time. I'm just be chilling. I'm going to watch some TV shows. Then I got through a couple of TV shows, and I'm like, I don't want to watch TV ever again. I'm over this. I'm sick and tired of sitting on my couch in my bed and going back and forth and just enjoy the day, to losing my mind a little bit, to getting anxiety, getting kind of depressed for no reason, getting all moody. Then next, it's like, I'm like, okay, then now we're doing this and getting creative with this. That came out of that. Like, I went through the drinking phase where it's like, okay, we're going to stock up. We're going to have quarantine alcohol. I went and bought some White Claws. I went and bought some beers. I'd stack up. I'd drink them. My sister would join me. We'd finish them. We'd get more. And then we went through that phase. That phase is over now too, because like I'm like, no more drinking. But then it's been so nice outside. I don't know about over there, but it's been so nice outside that I'm like, you want to go outside just to enjoy the sun, because this is when it actually does get sunny in Vancouver. Like, have you gone through those phases and stuff too, or how's it been for you?
So I am very comfortable with being a bum right now.
Yeah.
I've gone through The Blacklist, which I highly recommend on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, guys, oh my God, I'm obsessed and I can't wait for the next season. How to Get Away with Murder, Ozark, Wentworth. I've seen all these seasons, and now I'm back to like binge watching reality TV. And this stuff is just kind of in the background as I work on the show, or, other creative stuff. Like I'm building out my new website. Which is so tedious because, I'm very detail oriented. And I want it to be perfect. So,
oh, I know.
Yeah. And then I'm actually building like a makeshift gazebo on my balcony. I have a balcony, and my mom actually came up with a super clever idea to take shower rods, and because you can extend them and just basically connect the two walls, and then I would basically just take like non-flammable material that's good for outdoors and kind of throw it over and make my own tent.
That'd be actually really cool. Look at your mom getting creative during quarantine.
So,
look at that.
Today too, that were just fire. They were like butter cookies, and I'm not gonna lie, I ate most of them.
I don't blame you. The eating situation's been a whole other different situation I don't want to talk about. But I've been eating out a lot. This has probably been my the most I've used Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats and like what you guys have Postmates down there. We have these things, but the food delivery service, these food delivery services, I've been using them a lot. Yeah. But the working out part's been kind of tough because doing home workouts, when I was like 21, 22, 23, like, and I was taking pre-workout and I was going to the gym and I was really motivated about working out. Yeah. I used to come home and just do a home workout after going to the gym because I'd be so like hyped up and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm like, I can do this. And I found a couple of I found like a good 4. So like at least every 4 days I can switch it up, like which one I'm doing, and come back and work in different body parts and stuff. And I started doing them. And man, it's like, I don't know if it's because I'm older now or maybe I'm not that invested in working out as I was, because I've taken a lengthy break and I just end up laying on the floor sometimes looking at the ceiling and then not doing anything. So I went and took this different perspective, and I went and bought a bike, and it's been the greatest thing ever. Now I just go bike right down to the beach and back, and I'll be dead by the time I'm back, and just out while it's sunny and fresh. And the cool thing about the area I live in is like a lot of people bike. So like you're just passing other bikers and stuff, and it's just a good time. But
Yeah.
how's it been going for you? How's the working out situation?
Okay, well, I'll tell you a little secret. I can't ride a bike.
Oh, what?
Okay, so what happened was I was 12 years old and I got stuck in a fence.
And it's traumatized you forever?
Yes. And
Well,
I was with Arnold Chan, striking coach for some UFC fighters, if you don't know, guys, last summer. And he was like, no, we're going to get you back on a bike. So we went to Venice Beach and I had the cutest little outfit on. And I was like, I got this. The sun's out, guns out. Like I'm feeling good.
yeah.
I'm watching like 6-year-olds ride by me with no training wheels on, and I couldn't even balance myself. Like, I think it's more psychological, but I was like,
Yeah, I don't believe that you can't ride a bike. I think it's a head game.
I just kept falling over. And I ended up with the biggest, I'm talking about like bruises this big on my calves and stuff. Like, yeah.
So let's rewind. What happened when you were 12? How did you get stuck in the fence?
I think I just couldn't stop in time. And it was like one of those construction sites where they had the, like the green with the metal fence. And I got stuck in there. And my big brother had to come bail me out. I'm like, ah.
And you just never rode a bike ever again?
No. And then I was going to try rollerblading. I dug my rollerblades out of storage. But I just need it would be great if I could break into like a public school or something. Cause they have that smooth concrete. Yeah, I need smooth ground. I'm very clumsy. I
prefer riding a bike over rollerblade. I can rollerblade, but I'm probably not the best rollerblader compared to bike rider, I think. Well, I can't skate properly. I used to be able to, but I can't no more, and I don't know why.
It's a balance issue.
Yeah, it really is. I get on ice, and I'm just terrified. And I don't know why, because when I was younger, I skated. I remember I went skating with a girl one time, and I'm like, I don't think, and I was all like cool and confident. Then we're about to go, I'm putting on the skates, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know what came over me, and I just you
got in your head.
I'm like, I don't think I can, but we did it, and I was really bad, and I fell a bunch of times, but I just it's almost the same as rollerblading, but it's not, and it's just, I don't know,
mm-hmm.
The thing with me when I was a kid is I did get in a lot of those situations, like getting stuck in fences and cutting my hands and pants ripping, jumping fences, and riding bikes into parked cars and playing cops and robbers and breaking arms and all that I like to get terrified of things sometimes and overcoming it. I get a kick out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a part of it. I like, for example, I don't know, say if I was going to go bungee jumping, I'd be scared all the way up until we're about to do it. But then I'd get a kick about doing it, last second, here we go.
No. Okay, so I remember going to, was it Not Scary Farm? And I think it's called Supreme Scream, where it's basically just a really tall pole, and it just sucks you right up.
Yeah.
And it keeps you there for long enough for you to basically crap your pants, and then it drops you. And I remember sitting at the top before it ended, and I'm looking down at the horses, and they look like these little baby figurines, and I'm like, oh hell. And I looked at the person next to me who I didn't know, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need to get off. And he's like, girl, I don't know what to tell you. We about to drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I ever since then, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
See, I'm not this is the thing. If someone's like, do you want to go to the amusement park? Do you want to ride roller coasters? My automatic response would be no, because I actually don't like them. It's not a scary thing. I don't enjoy it. And because the same thing happens to me. I'll go there, someone will want to do it. I'm like, I'll start getting kind of scared. I'm like, I don't know if I want to. But then if someone tells me I can't do something, oh, he's scared, then I go do it and I enjoy it. It's not my preference, I don't why do people want to put themselves in those situations? Why do you want to put yourself in the situation to get scared? Well, let's just avoid it and go do something else that we're gonna enjoy anyways. I'll do it if I'm forced to do it, and I'll probably enjoy it, but it's not I want to do it in the first place. It's weird. It's weird, man. I don't get it. It's weird, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, man. The bike thing, it was a great investment. It's unfortunate you can't buy a bike. You could just ran that old lady over with the bike if you had a bike.
I could buy a bike. I thought about it, but I'm like, well, what's going to happen to me when I can't ride it? Obviously I have the time to learn and practice and be patient, but there's a lot of people walking around right now too. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's, I got a lot of trails around me, but which I wouldn't recommend for you, because if you can't ride a bike, you're gonna trip over a log or something.
The trails are closed around here. Yeah, no, I'll stick to walking, but I gotta be honest, I started to break out into a sweat a mile in. And
I'm so out of shape right now. It's ridiculous. So when I do ride the bike, it's like I'm dying. And it's also hot here. It's finally hot. Like it's your guys' hot finally here. But if it makes you feel any better, I just remembered I can't swim properly. There you go. That's the thing I really can't do.
okay.
Like I can swim in someone's pool or at a pool, but if you want me to swim in like a lake, the further out I get and the deeper it gets, the more like anxiety again. I can't.
There's a theme here. Like you get in your head and then you shut down.
Yeah, like literally, because I can swim. I just can't swim. Like, don't put me in a lake and tell me to swim the distance. I can't. I'm not doing that.
You can't swim to save your life. You can swim for leisure.
Yeah, if someone's like, "Yo, save me! I'm drowning." I'm like, "You're too far, man. You're too far." Come a little this way. I'll come get you. We're like reaching out for each other. Yeah, no, it won't happen. I don't know what happened. And it's like a mental thing. Like I can't stop myself from tripping out and just panicking when I get too far. Like it just happens. Like I don't know. Something switches off. It's really scary. Ozark, I want to ask you about that. I can't watch it. Like every time I try to watch it, it just comes off way too dark and gloomy for me.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I didn't love it. And it was so funny because Joe Rogan just posted about how it's like such a great series.
Everybody's talking about how great of a series it is. And I love Jason Bateman. I'm a Jason Bateman fan. So
he's awesome in it. I think season 3 was probably the best if you can kind of make it to that point. Because then you're invested. But I almost quit watching it season 1 and possibly even 2 because I just felt like, yeah, it was dark. There wasn't enough. You know, we need a little bit of balance, right? When we're watching something, we need to feel invested in the characters. There's got to be like some sort of love or romance or
just something.
Yeah, but it was just very dark the whole way through. But then you get invested in like them not dying, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get past the second episode ever. It's too dark. And I've also had a problem during this whole pandemic of watching shows that that require me to think more. Like I have a hard time doing that because I lose attention. Like I'll go back to my phone, I'll go do something, and I'll look up and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I tried watching Vikings, same thing happened to me. I tried watching The Witcher, same thing happened to me. Like I need to be watching like Curb Your Enthusiasm or Modern Family or Community, and then I'm just chilling and hanging out. Unless it's a show I've already been watching, like for example, like I'm a big Last Kingdom fan, so they dropped the 3rd season or 4th season, I don't know, and I watched it real quickly because I already kind of knew all the characters, I knew what was going on. It was easy for me, and I can watch shows I used to watch. It's just I don't know, man. Every time I turn on Ozark, it just seems dark and gloomy, moving very slow, and I'm just like, I don't get the hype yet. I don't.
You get nightmares if you watch scary things?
No.
I do. And when guys, I totally tested this. I was like, all right, well, here's what I'll do. I'll watch the scary series throughout the day, like while I'm doing stuff, you know? And then the last hour or so before bed, I'll just put on something that doesn't really require my attention, like Modern Family or something positive, and then I'll be able to sleep, right? Wrong. I am dreaming that I am like in Ozark or I'm in the Blacklist or whatever it is.
What is the Blacklist about?
Oh my God, it's so good. So James Spader is like the best actor, and he basically is this like high level criminal who turns himself into the FBI the day that I don't really want to give it away, but like one of the main cast members starts her job at the FBI.
It's his daughter, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to ruin it because I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like I've seen commercials for this, and in the commercial, he says, "I'm your father" or something. And I'm like, oh,
right, because they're now in the 7th or 8th season or something, and so it's already been revealed. But like, that's a big kind of.
Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert.
I know, spoiler alert, but like that's something they build up to that through many seasons. So. Oh,
that's cool. So I do get when you start explaining, I'm like, wait a minute. I think I've seen the commercial to this, and you're like, oh, and. When this girl gets hired, I'm like, oh, the girl must be his daughter. This all makes sense now.
So good.
That actually does seem like something I'd be interested in watching, though.
The acting is good, and they keep you on your toes. Like you have to be watching, so then like you're not bored. You know?
Have you been watching any of The Last Dance at all yet? The Michael Jordan documentary?
No, and someone brought that up to me, saying that he thought it would be good for me to watch it, given that I interview pro athletes, to kind of like understand their mindset. And
also, like. Obviously, my brother was born in the 80s, so he's a big Jordan fan stuff. So I knew about the whole Chicago Bulls dynasty, had the jerseys and all that stuff and everything, and he was a big Jordan fan. But like, I wasn't the biggest basketball fan. I was when I was a kid, and I was in the early 2000s when the Lakers were hot with Kobe and Shaq. Rest in peace, Kobe, and like the 76ers with Iverson, and like that was my era. And then similar to all the rest of sports, I kind of fell out of basketball too. But my point being is that I don't think you really need to be like a sports fan to enjoy this documentary.
Yeah.
Because just their personalities and their the way they come off as athletes and people that are passionate about their craft, which is obviously playing basketball, like it motivates any person that's doing anything, because you're like, I want to be like Jordan. Like he cared about this so much and he practiced so hard. And also they go through the series of like, they give you Jordan, they tell you Jordan's story from like when he was a kid and his upbringing. They go to Dennis Rodman, they tell you Dennis Rodman's story from when he was a kid and his upbringing. And they talk about Scottie Pippen and Scottie Pippen's upbringing. And then they even talk about the coach, and they talk and then what the common theme of all of them is that none of these guys had an easy life, and look where they ended up, because they just made a couple of the right decisions and kept at it and were determined and passionate to do something. For a lot of people such as myself, that's very inspiring, because I sometimes feel like a hamster on a hamster wheel, running and heading nowhere, when realistically I all these guys felt that way too. So for yourself, someone who's a creative person, always trying to expand and do new things and be more, putting out content and creating content, I think it would motivate you as well by watching it, because you'll get that vibe, like, because I think and a lot of these casual conversations, I'm usually talking about wrestling because there's people that are involved in the wrestling industry and whatnot. And the thing I always bring up is like, I want to talk to people and I want you to give them your story, because if they hear your story, then they'll realize, oh, I know this person and they didn't have it easy either.
Right.
So they take that from them, and then they see where you are and how you got there, and that inspires them. Because I grew up reading books, I grew up watching movies, listening to music, and I've always loved a good story. So what is your story?
God, it's such a simple question, but it's such a hard answer. I grew up in a good home and went to private school and, transitioned into the public school program. But, where I lived, it was basically private school. And I kind of just didn't know what I wanted out of life. And so I just kind of went through the motions of college and went from job to job, and always found myself in management.
What did you take in college?
So I ended up in communications, simply because my brother's girlfriend at the time was a communications major. And I was like, okay, I guess I could do that, because I didn't have any direction. So I did that. And then I got a job with a forensic psychiatrist who basically offered me a partner position if I got a PhD in psychology. And I was in the middle of studying for the law school entrance exam at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, he makes $675 an hour. So if I can partner with him, that would be amazing. So I detoured and I got a master's in psychology from Pepperdine. And then I continued to the doctorate level. I didn't finish, though. I ended up dropping out because I realized that academia wasn't for me. Like the vibe, the way everything goes, I just felt like I really needed to be in business. So I moved into commercial real estate, investment acquisitions, and became the director of business development over time, and then moved to the residential sector and was a COO for a couple of companies. And then I
I just want to stop you for a second. So you went to school. You wanted to do more school. You realized school wasn't for you. But you had more of this business drive. So you hopped into business, and then you killed it in commercial real estate, and then moved over to residential real estate, and then started killing it again, meaning that you can have a plan and that plan changes.
Yeah.
But as long as you're motivated to which direction you're going, like you can make things happen. I just want to bring it down a little bit, but I'll keep on going. So from there,
I felt like...
did you know what you wanted to do though? Like, was there anything you wanted to do since you were a kid?
No, but now that I'm older,
besides riding a bike,
now that I'm older and I've accomplished enough, I realized that if I could go back and I had the confidence when I was 18, when it was the time to really kind of decide what you want to do, I would be a veterinarian.
Were you a big pet person? You love animals? You do love animals, actually. I know that, but I'm trying to get you to say it because, casual conversation. Some people don't believe. But so do you like pets?
I love animals. I love
Yeah.
all animals. It kills me to see what's happening in the farming industry, and you know, when animals get abused. If I even hear like a dog whimpering out in the street or something, I will like run to the window and be like, "Is he okay? Is his owner there?" You know, like
Yeah.
I have that weird connection with them. So yeah, that's a huge passion of mine.
And I was going to say, so like so how'd you get into the hosting? How'd you get into the radio? When did this become a thing of yours?
So I left commercial real estate and started consulting for a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I got to meet DJ Ski, who is the founder of Dash Radio.
Yeah.
And this lawyer asked me to be on a show with him. You know, he was kind of casually given the opportunity. And I said no 4 times because I never felt like I belonged in front of the camera. I've never wanted to be, you know, in the limelight. And then, you know, I finally was like, all right, but I'll only do it if I can produce it and cast it and, you know, control the content and basically make sure that.
Because at your core, you're like a hustler, like you're a businesswoman. No matter what direction you go, you're gonna hustle that you can control it because you believe in nobody more than yourself, which is a good thing. Like you believe in yourself. Like if this is gonna be done right, like I gotta do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I felt like, yes, if it's going to be done right, I need to be the one to do it. And so I got the show together and created all the digital imaging. And it, you know, it's like to create a radio show out of nothing is, you know, complicated. But I did it, and he stayed on for like 9 episodes, and we had a bunch of lawyers on, and it was like a legal show at first. And then he's like, "Jay, take the show; it's yours." You know, like. It was just natural for me. I remember getting a call after the 2nd episode aired from the president, who was the person that kind of like set me up just because, you know, we were connected to DJ Ski. And he was like, "You have talent. Anytime you want your own show, like it's ready for you." You know, I ended up just like taking over the show, but that was always going to be my path, I guess. And then, you know, I was able to monetize with sponsors, and, you know, that's kind of like, that's a difficult thing right now. You know, my given like what's going on with the coronavirus and everything. So I'm still doing the show, but, you know, I have to hustle just like everyone else.
Outside of the pandemic, what's been the hardest thing about trying to, you know, do a radio show and being that content creator?
The hardest thing I think is I don't really feel like anything is hard, to be honest. I will say there are challenges in booking guests, and but my guests have been pretty awesome. Like no one's really no-showed on me. You know what? The only 2 times I have been flaked on are by guys for the dating show, and it's happened to me twice.
Why?
Like I've never had anyone else flake on me. I don't know. Like.
So you have the Jenna Ben Show, and then you have the dating show. Can you give us the concept of both shows?
Okay, so the Jenna Ben Show basically talks to, I talk to pro combat sports athletes, industry titans, and then once a month I do a dating segment. So it's all under the Jenna Ben
Show. Sweet. Yeah.
And the dating segment is called Dating in LA. And basically for those shows, I just put together a panel. Typically I'll do, you know, 3 women or 3 men, and then, or like Battle of the Sexes, I'll do 2 and 2. But given the pandemic, I've decided to merge them. So airing this Tuesday, I don't know when this is going to come out, but in 3 days from now, what is it, the 12th? I have a guy and a girl, and this is actually a really good story. So I originally casted the show with 1 guy and 1 girl that I had no idea knew each other, but it turns out they actually connected on a dating app. And so when I put them together in a group chat to be like, okay, guys, here are the details for the show, blah, 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 they were like, we know each other.
Yeah.
And it turns out that homie was so uncomfortable with the dynamic, he dropped. He was like, no, I can't do the show. He felt like he was crucified because of what he had said.
Who were they?
Okay, well, the girl is still the girl. So Jody.
I knew it. It was Jyoti. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so she's great. We recorded this morning.
I love Jyoti. She's cool, man.
Yeah. And then I ended up bringing on the guy's replacement. This guy his name is Albert Morales, and he's a pro MMA fighter.
That's dope. How did it go? It probably went all right. My thing is this. Okay, let me say something about Jyoti. For anyone that wants to go check out the show, and I recommend you guys to check it out.
Yeah.
The thing that might have scared the guy is she's a very honest person and a very strong personality. So if I was a guy, I think the fear would have been like, dude, she's gonna say anything and everything that comes to her mind.
She did.
And that guy probably got intimidated. And I'm not saying that like and that's something I think is really cool about Jyoti, is that she is so blunt, honest, and like hard opinionated. Like she is who she is. But for some guys that can be really intimidating. So I can see how that happened. Shout out to Jyoti. That was cool.
Yeah. She seems awesome. She seems like a ball of energy and a lot of fun.
Yeah, but so that's dope. So then, when you bring in like the UFC fighters, what made you want to bring in mixed martial art fighters and combat sports and all that?
So weird how that happened.
How did you fall into that world?
I know the whole thing of it even happened.
Everything about your story, and then also wanting to be a veterinarian. Nothing goes combat sports. Like
I know. So what ended up happening was. So Gabriel Rosado, boxer, ended up being my first like combat sports guy on the show. But it wasn't until I had Arnold Chan on the show that things kind of shifted, because Arnold Chan took me to Antonio McKee's amateur fight night at the Metroflex in Long Beach. That was the first MMA fight I've ever been to. And it was hot and sweaty. And like there were gang members looking at me. And Arnold was like, don't look in that direction. He's this gang. And then that direction, he's this. And I'm just like, oh my God, where did you take me? And then a few minutes later, the owner, Antonio McKee, comes over and introduces himself. And we became besties within 5 minutes. And honestly, Tone, who is like an uncle to me now, basically kind of got this whole thing going, because he came on the show with his son AJ, who is undefeated right now at Bellator 16-0. And then he sent me a bunch of his fighters from Team Body Shop, and then word kind of spread, and all these fighters would contact me wanting to be on the show, and then I got connected with UFC. So now I'd say the three main leagues that I pull from are UFC, Bellator, and Lights Out Extreme Fighting.
I mean, you can't get much bigger than those three. I mean, Bellator and UFC themselves are just like the most two common names. That's insane. And you fell into the world of fighting. It wasn't like something you like were really accustomed to before that. And you even got to, I know right after I left, you even got to like attend a UFC event in Vegas, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you interviews out there and stuff.
I think I've been to all of them that have been in Vegas since I got credentialed, which is amazing. Insane. I know, and I'm sad right now that, UFC is on in Florida and I can't be there, but I'm just glad that it is launched again. And I think that it's going to be slow going, because I know that there's limited media access. But, once all the, like the quarantine burdens are lifted, then I think, I'll be able to get back in the game.
So, like, I know obviously you've become a fan of UFC and MMA now. Like, even the last time we've talked, like, you knew more than I knew, which was like, this is great, because I fell out of it a while ago. But has there been an interview or one that you're really proud of that if people are listening to us and they should go check it out? Which one would you recommend? That was the worst sentence, but yeah, go on. Casual conversations.
One of my favorite interviews was Boss Rutan, just because he is such a great storyteller. I didn't even get through, guys. Whenever I do an interview, I have a run of show, which I prepare questions, and there's like a flow to it. And Boss.
Oh, so it's not like this. Okay.
No, it's not like a real conversation.
Yeah, go on.
The whole focus of the show is like, tell me your professional story, how you achieve success, what your biggest failure was, what you would go back and change if you could, what insights you have for the listeners and people looking to do what you're doing. So with Boss, though, like, he ran that show. I'm not even going to try and claim it. Like, he basically was like telling me this story and that story, and he jumped all around, but he did it in a way where I was just like, tell me more, And I basically was like, Boss, I only got through a third of the interview. I'm going to have you back, but when you come back, I'm going to have you and Frank Shamrock come on, because Frank's one of my besties. By the way, we were texting earlier today.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, and he was recommending this UFO documentary. What is it?
I just finished the sentence. I said documentary, and then you said documentary.
Yeah, on Netflix. So,
do you know what it's called?
Yes, I have it. He texted it.
Okay, so I watched there was a time where me and my cousin and my sister were going through documentaries and trying to find a UFO one, and there was this one about how this guy videotaped all this stuff that was moving around his house and stuff, and it was like really popular. But I'm like, there's no way this guy just wasn't like. How is this on Netflix? How is this guy not just moving stuff around himself, going around his house? Like,
it's called Hanger One, the UFO Files.
I don't know if that's the one, but I'll check it out. I'm very skeptical when it comes to UFOs. I don't think that the Earth is flat. I'm not one of those crazy people that think space doesn't exist. I'm just very skeptical about UFO documentaries.
Yeah, I believe that they exist. I just, the documentary, obviously, like, how are you going to put something together if you don't have enough like evidence? You know what I mean?
Unless someone found a UFO, what are we watching here?
Right. Exactly.
Like,
but,
you know what I mean?
He likes it. He's like, girl, get on it. So
I'd like to believe there's something out there. But back to Ross Roon and Frank Shamrock.
Yeah. Yeah. So Boss is awesome. And, he's just such a supportive, like inspirational guy. We've stayed in touch. Obviously I'm in touch with Frank. I've stayed in touch with a good amount. I'd probably say like at least half of the fighters and I are still in touch because, I'm in their world.
Yeah.
So it's relevant. Like Andy Foster, who is the executive officer of the California State Athletic Commission. He's like the guy that signs off on every single fight in the state of California for all combat sports, wrestling.
Yeah.
And, he has been awesome. I was texting with him earlier today too. And I mean, I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but we had talked about me potentially like joining the California State Athletic Commission in some capacity. So that could be cool. Yeah.
I mean, your story just seems to be going from one thing to another thing to another thing, and then getting an opportunity, and then there's absolutely killing it. So, that's what I want to know. It's not like that all the time.
No. Okay. Let me be honest about the journey now. Right?
Yeah.
If I don't get sponsors, I don't get paid.
Well, I think that's a part. Like even this, like I hope people know, like I'm doing this for the sake of just doing it for more content. Like I don't know. Hopefully it gets enough views where on YouTube it gets monetized, but I don't think people realize how many views you actually need on YouTube to even make money on there.
I'll tell you because I looked into it because my manager.
It's ridiculous.
You need within 1 year's time, you need 4,000 hours of watch time, and you need a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, and then I think after that you can get monetized.
So this is the thing. I'm monetized. I can monetize,
okay.
But I mean, you need a lot of views to actually make any money, even after you can monetize. And it wasn't like this back when I first started in 2014. It's just gotten harder and harder as the years have gone by because the increase of YouTubers and people that, started doing this.
Right. And then there's people with like ridiculous numbers that are like, eating it up.
Yeah. So there is obviously a struggle to everything. I was just joking around because you've done really well for yourself. But there's struggles on all sides of this stuff. But I think it's just more, you got to go out there and try things. Because if anything, like you just went out and tried things. You constantly stepped out of your comfort zone. Doing this whole UFC, MMA, talking to combat zone people was you stepping out of your comfort zone. You weren't the biggest fan, yet you got the opportunity. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. You probably did some research, figured out, the basics and who's who and where, who's from where and what's what. And then you went out there and did it. And now you're in conversations about working for the athletic commission, like about something that you might have not even been a huge fan of, like just 3-4 years ago. And I think it's crazy how it works like that. But I think that's a story of just taking risks and betting on yourself and stepping out of your comfort zone.
And you can't wait for the opportunities to come fall on your lap. Like, yes, I was presented with an opportunity by spending so much time with Antonio and the Key, but I also had to make the conscious decision to pursue it. Like people hit me up all the time wanting to be on the show, but I have to be like, I have to have vision and be like, okay, is that right? Is that right for the trajectory? So, so there's that. And, you are a journalist as well. Like
a journalist. Cool.
I mean, you are. I know you got your show.
I know. I remember. I think I was on your show. And like I said, I'm not an influencer, and you're like, you are an influencer, and I'm like, I don't know what I am, but.
Yeah, listen, I think you need to own it, you know?
No, I know.
I'm noticing a theme with you. If you own it, then you'll have control over it. Because, you know, right when you get in your head is when you kind of like,
I'm the king of getting in my head. That's a problem here. But the other thing I want to obviously say about the whole situation when it comes to the MMA fighters and getting into combat sports, and I'm saying this from my own experiences too, interviewing wrestlers and this and that. And it's something that you probably don't give yourself enough credit for because, you know, it kind of sounds egotistical to give yourself credit for this. But I'm just saying this over a situation that like just happened to me. Like I started doing these. I interviewed ex-WWE superstar, WWE veteran. He was a part of this tag team called Crime Time. His name was Shad Gaspard. We did one of these, okay? And by the end of the interview, he's like, we're going to do this every week. It's quarantine period. You know, people are going to ask me to do a podcast. And now we've done like 4 episodes together. Now it's a whole separate podcast, like a whole third different show now, right? But the thing that people, another struggle that people don't see is that it's the art of allowing your guests to feel comfortable with you and to feel relatable. Like if anyone out there is in the wheelhouse of wanting to maybe pursue interviewing or hosting and stuff like that, I think one thing you can take from her story and even from me is that the more just real you are to who your guests are going to be and the more that you make them feel comfortable, the more they're going to want to do interviews with you and want to come on here and want to talk to you. And I think you're really good at doing that. Like I was on your show and you made me feel really comfortable. You took me out of my comfort zone. We went and did like an entire photo shoot before the show. I don't do, but I did it. But you know, I by the second show, by the time I was doing the show with Blake, who you introduced me to do the TWC show live from Dash Radio, by that time, I trusted you enough to go do a whole nother photo shoot with Blake and to get it done. And I think that's something you got to give yourself credit for because I'm sure if you in a private conversation with a lot of the people you interviewed, and if you ask them if they've like dealt with like really bad interviews before, they'll tell you like this person asked dumb questions or this person just came off really weird. Like I'm sure a lot of them enjoy wanting to be on your show and stuff, and people are calling you to be on your shows because these guys are spreading the word like, hey, she's good at what she does and she'll make you look good and she'll let you tell you a story. And I think you got to give yourself credit in that aspect too, because it's a really hard thing to do. Mostly when you're nervous and you're trying to do these shows, like it's a hard thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah. I try to construct it in a way where my guest just gets to tell their story, you know, and they get to tell it to whatever degree of openness they choose. I'm not the TMZ type of show.
Yeah.
There's like newsworthy stuff, you know, I'm not going to talk about, you know, you being on the down low.
Yeah.
You know, if that's not something you want to discuss. Like I think that it's inspirational to hear these guys come on and talk about like the ups and downs of their careers. And yeah, and it seems to be working, you know, thank God, 400,000 listeners. I haven't gotten my analytics in a long time, but that's the last time I checked. So, you know, just keeping it going. I'll do something big when I hit 500.
We'll get you to 500. We'll make that happen. But that's sweet. So also, just different to sway this conversation in a different direction. I keep looking this way, by the way, because there's a mic here, and I have to looking at the mic. But you were trying to buy a dog. Before all this happened. You were in the process of trying to buy a dog, adopt a dog, most likely. But yeah. How was that? How was that going? Did we come to any?
You know what's crazy, Justin? I was on the hunt, man. I
remember. I would just message you to be like, "What's the update on the dog?"
Yeah, I went to shelter after shelter, even the same shelter multiple times, and it was just not working out for me. And I got in touch with all these rescues that I used to volunteer for and fundraise for. I figured, listen, I fundraised like anywhere from 2,500 to 500,000 for you. You better find me a damn dog, you know. I was like, I'm cashing in.
Yeah,
it didn't work out. Nothing worked out for me. I couldn't find the right fit, and then I was on Craigslist, and I came across this cat ad.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me just email. And it was the only communication I had that went smoothly. And I was like, okay, well, the world's about to shut down. I swear, like I knew it was coming because I have like friends in government. So I was like, all right, I'll take him. I didn't even meet him. I was like, okay, it was just kind of like a choop, you know? And then I have this terrorist of a cat now who's
that's what happens when you don't get time to overthink the decision. What's your cat's name?
So he doesn't have a name, I haven't.
I think it's almost like his name should be COVID.
Oh my God, I thought about it. Baby with the pink mouth. He thinks his name is Baby Boy because that's
You keep calling him Baby Boy, and that might just be his name now. You might have ruined it.
I know. That's too complicated. I need one name.
Baby Boy. I think that sounds like a rapper. You got a rapper cat.
Boy.
Little baby boy in the house. Oh, so is the dog off the table now? No more dog?
Get out of here, dude. He keeps dogs off the table. Unless
are you a cat person or a dog person?
I'm both. I'm an everything person. It's just the level of responsibility. You know, I was talking to my friends about getting a dog and just, you know, like I have to travel for the UFC media days. I don't know. I guess I just felt like it wasn't working out for me in any way with the dog. So, you know, and the cat was so smooth that I figured this is what God wants me to have in my life right now.
So you mentioned you volunteered at shelters in the past and you've, you know, supported and helped with charity work with shelters and stuff. Future Jen, any interest in either having or working at a shelter or being involved in one or investing in one that is kind of under your umbrella? Because you had to have a long lost dream that if you could go back to 18-year-old self of being a veterinarian, you have this whole shelter thing. You're doing your thing right now, but as we know, life happens and things move on and life goes forward. If one day, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Listen, if I can get the funds together and, you know, me being kind of a good networker, I could probably make this happen sooner than later, but I want to be super financially comfortable. And then I want to open a sanctuary, but I want it to be for like all animals, like farm animals too. Cause I just don't have, I became vegetarian because I can't stand what's happening.
I was just trying to picture that sanctuary. I'm like, that would have to be like a big sanctuary if you want to save all the animals. Like,
it wouldn't be in LA. It'd have to be
you could do like cats and dogs, but you want to do like
cows and sheep and goats and like, chickens.
Yeah, I feel that. Did you watch Tiger King? I don't know why that correlation happened.
I know. I feel like it would piss me off. I feel like I get really upset. So I'm just like, I don't really.
There's the thing, like I know you'd get upset, like you actually would, but like at the same time, I feel like you just need to watch it.
I'll consider it if I'm like in the zone one day, you know. But so far, I've just been keeping busy with it.
Without spoilers. This is the thing, okay? They talk about the animals, and what's happening to the animals is very sad. But then the whole rest of the series, like the animals are there and you see some bad things happen to animals, but like it's more about the people. And then literally at the end, there's like one sentence where the narrator or one of the people that were talking was like, oh, and now that you watched all this, not in these exact words, but in this different way, like, you know, there's all this drama that everybody forgot about the animals. And then at the end of it, like, oh yeah, we forgot about the animals. And then they make you feel bad for the animals again. But it's like, it's such a, it's crazy. It's a weird. It's so like if you're worried about the animals, like you will be probably the whole show, and you probably will hate it. But the drama and the characters on there is what made this show so ridiculous. I mean, I know you've seen all of it. Yeah, it's crazy. But I think you should do something. Yeah, with open a sanctuary or something in the future. I think, you know, I always say I want to be somewhat successful and financially stable to a point where I can fall off the grid and hide and throw like a Gatsby party once a year. And then, I don't want to see people. I just want to hide. I want a big house with trees all around and a lake in the back. But I also, if I ever get the opportunity to in the future, and if I'm ever successful enough to be able to do so, is help like people that are creative souls or have the drive to do something but feel like they can't for whatever reason. Like to somehow be some sort of a mentor or give scholarships to these people. I'm like, this person has all the potential in the world, but they are held back due to maybe their family situation or like just their financial situation, or they're from a neighborhood where, you know, kids don't get those opportunities. They're like, you know what I mean? Like I want to help those people out because I feel like there's so many talented people out there full of doubt because of their circumstances. And they just, you know, sometimes people just need that hand. I'll say with anything I have succeeded with, and I don't think I've done as much as I want to, but like I've been helped so much along the way. And every time someone helps me, I'm so grateful about it. Like even when I came down to Cali this last time in this last minute trip, and you were so helpful the entire trip. Like, I remember that, you know?
Yeah.
You made the whole transition to Dash become so much smoother and way more like less stressful, because it's like, oh, Jen's here, like Jenna's here, like it's cool, you know? And I remember that, and I know what it means, right? So like if I could, you know, when I was younger, I'd be like, I want to open a school just for like kids that want to be like film directors and actors and actresses and like producers and, you know, like those type of people, because like, I don't know, growing up where I grew up, there was always such a negative perception of anyone that wanted to do something that was unconventional. Like if you weren't going to go to school to become an accountant or a lawyer,
or you're going to be an artist,
like, oh, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be making this by the time I get my degree, and and you're just going to be winging it. And I'm a big believer though that, and not all of them, but majority of those people that end up being like, you know, and they end up becoming realtors or selling mortgages and stuff because they're just trying to make ends meet and live that life. Give it 5-10 years, a lot of them aren't that happy. And it's not saying that that's all of them. I'm saying a lot of them. Like it's not all of them. There are people that are extremely happy with that, but there are people that sacrificed something that they could have done that would have made them happy to do something that they knew was guaranteed, and then in the long run they're like upset they didn't try. I want people at that crossroads to just try. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey.
So I think what would be unique for you is if you made the submission process really simple.
Yeah.
Because I think what ends up happening is there's so many submissions, right? Because there's a lot of opportunities out there similar to the ones you're describing. But the competition is so steep. And then I think the real challenge is for the people who don't have anyone in their lives like we've had that are like, go for it, you got this, you know. So, you know, maybe cater to those people who, you know, it's not a process where you need that. It's just, you know, you submit like a 5-minute video just talking about what you want to do, and then
if I see talent or actual passion somewhere, I'd be like, I want to meet this person. And then they would come to, you know, like, and that's what I was thinking more of, like, maybe like a scholarship thing. Like, I'll mentor a couple of people, and if it works out. And that's why it's always been a big thing for me to network outside of wrestling and stuff too, because I'm like, you know, in the future, you know, if I can find someone else that's more suited to be a mentor for you, and they're chilling now because we're just all old men now or old ladies, and I can link you guys up, because I just feel like I'd hate a world where people just stop, you know, dreaming or shooting for the stars because they feel like they're in a certain circumstance where they're not allowed to, because that sucks, man. I think everybody should be allowed to, and it's fun. I'm miserable a lot of the time too. Don't get me wrong. This isn't always fun, but I cannot say I'm never like completely happy that I'm just doing what I'm doing. You know, like.
So what do you have to say to the people who are struggling right now? Like, even when the world opens back up again, there's going to be limited opportunity. Our lives are not going to be the same for a long time.
I just think this is the best time to start getting creative. This is the best time. If you're a content creator and a creative, it's the best time to creating your own content, doing stuff like this. Things don't make money right away. I think the one thing that if you want to be a creative person, just understand that you're going to do a lot of stuff that does not make money right away. Will it make you money? Trust me, from experience and from other people's and other stories I've heard, it will. Like, I've made money, other people made money, like, there's ways to do it. But you need to start. That's the first thing. You need to start.
Start.
That's the biggest thing. Not just, like, I will say, write down a concept on a piece of paper, put it out there that way, but don't just leave it on that piece of paper. Then actually take initiative and start it. And I used to be scared of doing stuff like this. I used to hate doing interviews or doing podcasts. I remember, like, it was such a big deal for me to have a studio for the TWC show. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, I need a studio because it needs to look a certain way. And a friend of mine from down in LA too, he's like, have you ever saw what Joe Rogan's podcast looked like when he first started it? And I'm like, no. He's like, go back and look at it and look where he's at now. He's like, just start it and slowly you'll progress. You know? And that's true. And I'm like, that's true, because if I don't start, then I'm never going to start. But if I just start it as we're going, it'll get better because I at least started and now the ball's rolling. So that's the biggest thing. The second thing is just, it sounds corny, cheesy, and like so cliche, but you do need to believe in yourself to the extent, like, listen, I say things that sound like I don't believe in myself all the time. Like, I'm not an influencer and stuff, but the fact of the matter is this: I will sell myself to anybody, because when it comes to who I think is the best at doing something or at a certain job, if I believe in myself enough, I'll sell you on myself, because I do think if you do not believe in yourself, why should anybody believe in you? That's just the truth.
Of course.
You know, like if you don't buy into who you are and what you're gonna do, why should someone else? You know, so it's more about that, and also knowing that the third thing I said is know you're gonna fail a lot. You're gonna get a lot of no's. You're gonna get a lot of rejections. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fail. Things are gonna suck. Things are gonna be really good. Things might not go as planned, but that's all part of it, and it's actually all worth it in the end. Because every time something bad has happened to me, something good came out of it, and I'm like, okay. But that's because I'm really big on looking for the silver lining and everything. So it's kind of a me issue.
Listen, if you take action, then you're going to be in a better place moving forward, right? What's that saying? A year from now, you'll wish you started today.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other thing you were talking about, writing your goals down. So, I have these like random facts of information from my psychology days.
Yeah.
And, statistically, if you write something down and you have some sort of mentor holding you accountable, you are in the group that is most likely to succeed. The next group is the group that simply just writes down their goals. And then there's the people who don't write them down. And, there's a percentage that succeed as well. But the top tier are the ones that actually write down their goals and have someone holding them accountable. So, try and find a mentor.
And do it now. Like you said, it's the biggest part. And do it now so you don't have to think about doing it a year from now, doing it, like, why didn't I start before? And just, I don't know. I feel like anything bad that's ever happened to me, and this, I know a lot, and there's, like, not like really bad things that left me like traumatized a little bit and stuff, like bad things that happen where I'm like, this is the end of the world. Yeah. A year goes by, 2 years go by, I look back at it and I'm like, that wasn't that bad. Am I right? You know what I mean? Like, could have been worse. I am a big, it could have been worse scenario type of guy. So I'm like, I look back at things and things could be worse, but it's all good. Life's good. I think after this quarantine, I think a lot of people are going to be a lot more grateful for how easy life was before it. Yeah. And know what things were privileges and what things weren't. And it's crazy. I just want to point this out, and it has nothing to do with nothing. It's crazy to me how many people are still very obsessed with Starbucks during this, because if you've been to a Starbucks drive-through, they've been ridiculous. Guys, you can make coffee at home. Just buy the pods.
Yeah, save the money. Coffee is like $5 these days. That's crazy.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
But even one today, it's a lot of money. It's $150 a month.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, I never thought of it like that. You just did the math. I never thought of it like that. That's crazy. But yeah, guys, I think this pandemic hit us all in a way that after it we'll be hopefully doing things differently. I don't know. I feel like some people won't, but like I'm going to be doing things differently. I think this got me started doing this. So
I've cut back financially. I mean, I've definitely looked at like, okay, where are my resources going? So I think now is the time to kind of buckle down. And of course, like for the sake of boosting the economy, like go spend. But I think we all need to be conservative and just kind of like wait to see where everything lands. And thank God the government is pumping out more assistance than ever in history. And yeah, go from there. But I agree with you. Like, the people that are on their grind right now, making an effort to be creative, to fail. Now is the time to fail, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't count. This is like your practice phase. So just get out there and do it. And I think those are the people that are going to be ahead when it matters.
So I think last but not least, I'm gonna ask you this one final question, and we'll see where you go with it. When this pandemic is over, what is the first thing you really want to do?
I want to go back to the studio and record live with my guests. I want to see somebody. I want to touch.
Yeah.
Just like, I want to go back to business as usual. I want to go to I want to network. I want to say yes to every single invitation that comes my way. My mom is dying to just go get waited on at a restaurant. She talks about it every day. She's like, I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm going to take my vitamins and I'll still be fine. And I think I'm just ready for things to go back to normal, whatever normal will be, because I have my goals. Like I had some big opportunities that were waiting for me before. I should say meetings for potential opportunities. They weren't waiting for me to sign, but there were really big potential opportunities that were available to me. And then they just got completely put on hold, obviously, because of what's happening. So, you know, that would be number one. If I can revive those meetings, you know, I'd be thrilled.
No, that's fair. I think, I don't know. For me, I want to be able to go somewhere. I'm a homebody, so when I am home, I usually do stay home anyway, so that doesn't really change much for me. I do miss the little things. I do miss if I wanted to go like do work not in my house, I could go to like a coffee shop or something because I get too comfortable here. But like, and I do miss going to the actual gym and that stuff. But like, I just want to like cross the border. Like, I just want to drive down to Seattle because I can. You know, I want to fly back down to California because I can. Like, I just want to be able to go somewhere. I want to be able to leave this city, and I mean not drive from like White Rock to Vancouver. I mean like just leave this city and go to the States. You know, I used to go to the States, cross the border like once a month because I live really close to it, just to grab gas and groceries and stuff. And then sometimes I just drive down to Seattle and hang out with friends that I have over there. Like, I miss just being able to do that, and I haven't been able to do that for the majority of this year. And I thought this year was going to turn around for me because last year I didn't get to travel much. I never got to travel much last year because I had a ton of weddings and all that stuff. So this year I'm like, I'm going to come home. I'm going to go to Tampa for WrestleMania. And then, you know what? I'm going to go back to California and da-da-da-da-da. And then this happened. So,
you know what's so crazy? I still like cannot believe that you and my childhood friend Teddy Hirsch are friends.
Wrestling for sale. That guy's the man.
Okay, so listen, guys. I was helping Justin with his show.
Yeah.
At Dash Radio. Got you all set. I basically produced your show.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, let's go grab a bite after. So and Justin, you were like, oh, we're gonna meet my friend. I'm like,
well, I was supposed to. You knew I was there for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to see Teddy while I'm here. Like, I have to see Ted while I'm here. Like, we're friends. Me coming to California and not calling him, he's gonna be like, yo, like mostly being in LA because sometimes I'm in the Bay Area, but mostly being in LA and not calling him, he's gonna be like, yo, bro, what the fuck, right? So I was like, I have to call him, right?
And then we kept him waiting. Well, I kept everyone waiting because I didn't realize that like y'all were waiting on me, and I was talking to Jen over at Dash Forever. We were getting caught, you know, girl talk. And anyway, so we walked down the street to Kitchen 24, and we were with Taryn and Blake Troop. And then I see Teddy Hirsch standing outside Kitchen 24. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And I didn't make the connection that was the friend that we were meeting. And so I'm like, oh, come inside, join us. And he was kind of like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh, okay. It was just so good to see him. And we've messaged a little bit here and there. And he's like, you know, we talked about like sponsorships with his connects and stuff.
I just think it's so funny, like, because I was sitting there and I didn't know that happened outside, right? So like I was sitting there and I remember sitting there and you guys like going back and forth like that. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, do you guys know each other? And then you guys are like, yeah, we went to high school together. I'm like, I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, and you guys are like I'm not trying to say this in a mean way because I would be one of those people that came from somewhere else to California, but you guys are like actual LA homebreed, born and raised people. Like, you're the real Los Angelites, you know? I don't even know if that's a thing. Don't ever say that, people. But you guys are real people from like actually there because there's a lot of people that just come there. There's a lot of people that move from like around the States or Canada, and like, you know, Los Angeles is a place to dream. You guys are OGs.
OGs. It was so crazy. I think I might have been his first kiss.
Yeah, you guys had that conversation.
9 or something, and you know, I was like, "All right, boys," you know, and I gave him a peck, and yeah, just crazy.
No, and thank you for all that. You did help me produce that show, and you made, like I said before, like that whole Dash Radio experience, you made so much easier, work out so much smoother. But yeah, man, and shout out to Teddy, guys. Wrestling for Sale is how we became friends. He sells some of the coolest vintage wrestling merch that you can find. Like, he's pretty much that middleman. Like, trust me, I tried finding vintage wrestling merch online, and it's like so hard to find stuff. At least not even find stuff, but like find stuff that's like reasonably priced, because everyone like overprices it. Like, if I try to find like this vintage Undertaker shirt that I want from 1996, a lot of places like on Grail and stuff would be like $200, $300 for the goddamn old T-shirt. Where like Teddy will find it, and he'll sell it, but he'll still like kind of make a middle ground price where he still makes a profit, but it's not as expensive. And you know, me being his friend, I get a little bit of a discount anyway. So shout out to Teddy, he's the man. Check out Wrestling for Sale if you're ever looking for those vintage tees and shirts and hats and all that stuff, man. He's got a hell of a collection, man. He's the man. He's super cool. He's helped me out a lot too on times I've come down to California. Like I said, I don't forget. Like, that's why I'm like, I know how much people have helped me. So like, I'm really big on paying it forward and trying to help other people. So it's cool that you guys knew each other though. It was such a trip.
We'll have to all go out when you come back.
No, for sure. Even that, like, even when we went to the bar and I met like Mata and them, and they're like, it's just that's the thing. Like, it's so weird for me because I came down there and everything was so bang, 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 bang. And then I come home and everything just stopped, and I'm like, I gotta do something. And
what a crazy happy hour that was for you, right? So we get there, and then I introduced you to my buddy Chad, who owns the bar State Social.
Yeah,
we were at, and he's like a big wrestling fan. And then I have Keegan Machado come, who is the nephew of Carlos Gracie, founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and is also like well established in his own right. And then Mata comes, Zion Clark.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like a pretty cool happy hour.
No, it definitely was, man. It was, like I said, that trip wasn't even supposed to happen. It was a last minute trip. And it turned out being, I remember just messaging a bunch of people like, I'm going to be down there, but I'm only going to be there for like a week. Then I had to extend the trip because more opportunities came up. It was wild.
Yeah, you handled that like a champ. You got your opportunities in. I'm glad you stayed.
No, man, that's why I love coming down there, man. That's why I love California. Like, things happen when I come there. Nothing really happens up there that often. But I love BC, man. It's a beautiful place. If you ever want to come to Vancouver and you come up here, I'll definitely show you around and let you check out this place. There's a lot to do here.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? You want to let people know where to find you?
Yeah, check me out at the Jenna Ben Show on Instagram, and I'm sure you'll tag me. My show airs for the first time on Tuesdays on Dash Radio on the Talk Station at 8 p.m. Pacific. You can find all the times listed in my bio, but check out my page. It's kind of a combination of fight stuff with my guests and a whole bunch of selfies of me. Yeah. A lot of throwbacks these days. And I'm going to be incorporating a little more fight information on the page as well if you are an MMA fan.
So yeah, and there's a lot of crossover between MMA and WWE and wrestling just generally. So a lot of MMA fans are wrestling fans. A lot of wrestling fans are MMA fans.
Yes.
Did I say the same thing twice? A lot of MMA fans are wrestling fans. A lot of wrestling fans are MMA fans. I don't know if I said it right the first time.
I'm in touch with the WWE people, so at some point I'll get credentialed and, cross over. Yeah.
You guys will see her invade the wrestling bubble too. She takes opportunities and she becomes involved. But yeah, guys, it was great having you. It was fun doing this. Like I said, it's random. It's just a chat.
Yeah.
More content for people to get to know people that I know, and we'll definitely get together again soon, man.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Justin. This is the most exciting fun I've had in months. So I feel like we just had cocktails.
It's a pleasure. Everybody go check out Jenna Ben. Check out her shows. I'll put all the information in all the information boxes on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and all those other places. This was another episode of Casual Conversations with the Classic, and we'll see you all next time. Ooh, yeah, dig it!
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.